Reading Sam Keen's work has absolutely shifted how I see the world. Rather than simply seeing superficial problems to be solved, his work has helped me to see the philosophical problem that underlies the problem itself. It's a changing worldview that we need. It's not just a quick solution to a temporary problem. So out of all the books that I've read in the past 2 years, Fire in the Belly still remains one of my top picks. So what I want to do is to share two quotes with you from page 218 and 207, just to give you an example of how to shift from a superficial question to a philosophical question. So to start with, on page 218, and I'll read this directly on here so you might be able to follow it along as well, depending on if the camera picks up on this. This is referring to gender, by the way, but it applies more widely than that still. There are more or less intelligent ways to explore and clarify the mystery of our lives, but we cannot reduce the great mythic questions, which is, where did I come from? What should I do? For what may I hope? What is a heroic man? What is a heroic woman? To problems that can be solved. The question of gender is penultimately a problem, but ultimately a mystery. And we can take that a little step further by going to page 207 when he says this, and this is an absolutely beautiful little quote here. Fate is changed into destiny by awareness. The first act of freedom is the willingness to see how we have been enslaved. The system binds us only to the degree that we choose to remain unconscious. So straight away, we've got two calls to action which are happening here. Firstly, we must make the unconscious conscious. Otherwise, it's going to be ruled. It's going to rule over us and pull the strings behind the scenes. So in that case, there we could think about it in terms of Carl Jung. You might have heard of Carl Jung and maybe his idea of the archetypes and the collective unconscious. I would say this is quite a tough read in comparison to Fire in the Belly, but that's definitely going to be linking on here as well. But also that there are a lot of problems to be solved, but also more importantly, mysteries to be lived. So if we summarise this down, we've already got two pretty clear calls to action straight away. That fate is changed into destiny by awareness, and that many questions are not problems to be solved, but mysteries to be lived. So you can probably see already how this has helped to permanently shift my worldview, because these are ongoing processes that we can partake in during our everyday lives, and they update and can be made relevant according to our particular situations and particular contexts that we find ourselves in. But just to give you one specific example, let's have a look at art. So I'll use a mandala for the sake of this example, considering that we're talking about Jung, and it'll be as relevant to him as possible if you are familiar with his work. We could imagine the artwork and admire it for its symmetry, its attention to detail, its composition, or the technical skill of the artist, but there's a lot more happening than just that. There's also the first-person sense of beauty in that I'm experiencing this as I see the artwork itself. There's also this paradoxical and contradicting thoughts and feelings that I might have towards it, and the fact that I might love it one day and hate it the next day, depending on my mood or my mindset or my situation. This piece of art individually could be everything and nothing all at once. It isn't just the skill of making the art. There's lots of links here as well to Ken Wilber's work, but I'll save that for another video. But the point of this is simple. That art is a mystery to be experienced rather than a problem to be solved. The point of all this, it's not about how do I recreate this, it's how do I actually learn how to appreciate it. This is also a side point, and I think a valid criticism of AI art in general as well, but I'll save that for another time. But before I get a bit carried away on that, let's bring it back to this book. To have fire in the belly is to engage with the world. It's to live in the world and be a dynamic part of it, and not just to sit back and simply observe it. We need the first person, the second and the third person approach to life to appreciate all those nuances. So don't sell yourself short by just reducing it all down to the third person perspective. And remember, fate, if we come back to this quote over here, fate is changed into destiny by awareness. So what we need to do is we need to increase our capacity for awareness itself so that we can actually live a richer life. That's why I absolutely love this book, and that's why I think it's so potentially life-altering for so many people, because it's not telling you what your fate or your destiny is. It's saying that you need to engage with life directly as a mystery, to keep that inner fire burning, to stay enthusiastic, and to keep up that momentum, to be constantly aware of the fact that we can draw things to our unconscious mind, from our unconscious mind to our conscious mind, so that we can learn how to grapple with them. And knowing ultimately that the unconscious mind is infinite and can't be treated as a problem to be solved because it's going to go on forever. So instead we have to treat it as a mystery. We have to be engaged with it as a mystery. And for me, that is absolutely life-altering. And it's also exceptionally optimistic as well as grounded at the same time. I could go on for days about a book like this, and I definitely will in future videos as well, but I'm going to leave it here for now, just to keep the point as simple as possible. But if you are interested in more psychology and philosophical book recommendations, excerpts from them and ways to study them, I've got plenty more videos to come, but until then, there are mysteries out there to be lived, so go and live them. That's what all of this is about, and that's what this book is about. I recommend it so highly to everybody that I meet, especially to men. Fire in the Belly by Sam Kean. Absolutely beautiful book.